annoyed with the Hawks tonight. That was the exhibition game tonight.
All right, everyone, I'll get started. Welcome to what I believe is the first ever Alameda Soccer Club competitive information night. Thank you for giving your evening up to listen to me. I'll try and make it as quick as I can, hoping to present for about 15 minutes or so. And then any questions that are unanswered at the end, we can go through them. I don't want to take up too much of your time. Just some Zoom housekeeping to begin with. Please, can you just ensure that your mic is kept off, just to ensure there's no distractions. If you have any questions throughout, please ask them in the chat. There are some board members on this call who will look to reply straight away. So if anything comes to your mind and you want to ask it while I'm presenting, put it in the chat box. We'll get that answered. But if it's a question specifically for me or a board member doesn't have the answer, I will open it up for questions at the end. So this is the meeting agenda that we'll be looking to go through tonight. We'll start with board and coaching information, facilities, club learning plan, our club development model, club policies, costs and financial aid, team forecasts, season overview, and then the tryout process. So first of all, I became the DOC back in January. That's when I started properly. And I've been honored to meet so many great board members at this club that put in so much hard work behind the scenes to make sure that Alameda Soccer Club runs smoothly. And here you can see the exec board of directors. There are so many different roles that you don't even realize that go on behind the scenes. And the fact that they give up their time, voluntary, and have full-time jobs, but find space to actually do this in their lives is fantastic. Here you can see the elected board members, and you can see just how many people there are that put forward such effort and focus and any spare time they have to ensure that our kids are having the best possible experience. And then we got our appointed board members as well. So just a quick thank you, especially for those that have joined today to help answer questions. I wouldn't be here without you. Then coaches. So my name is Mark Savvides. I'm the DOC, the Director of Coaching. I currently work for some other clubs as well. So I'm all over the place, but I've been in the Bay Area for 9 years. When it comes from May and it's tryouts, that's when I'm going to be completely in Alameda. And I'm really looking forward to the challenge and the club and helping it grow and get better. And throughout this presentation, I'll be able to let you know some changes that we'll be making and basically why Alameda Soccer Club is the right club for you. Some coaches beneath me. So we have 4 technical directors from May: Ryan Riley, the recreational technical director; Ryan Jones, U8 through U10; Dom Grove, U11 through U12; and then Adam Player, U13 through U19. We then have some more coaches: Andrew Higgins, James Mason, Chris Gomez, Chris Lonsdale, that will be taking teams. And we're still interviewing for even more coaches as well. I'm spending a lot of my mornings at the moment making sure that we get the right coaches, more coaches that can help improve your kids, and basically finding coaches that are the right fit. We also have parent volunteer coaches. We have 2 different models that I'll go over later in the presentation. We have a model where you have your trainer in the week, professional trainer in the week, and then a parent volunteer coach on the weekend. Or there's another model where you have your professional trainer also taking games. And I'll go through the differences later on in the presentation. So first of all, what can you expect from our coaches? First of all is continuous coach development. Every single month, every 2 weeks in that month, we meet at Copa in Walnut Creek, that lovely brand new soccer facility. Today, we actually met from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So every 2 weeks, either a Monday or a Tuesday, continuous coach development. We're in the classroom, we're in groups, we're in pairs, we're on the field doing physical, practical work. We're making sure that we push each other and get better. So we're not just employing coaches and going, right, you're going to coach that team for a year. Good luck, get on with it. Let me know how you do in 12 months. Every single month, we're pushing each other, we're learning, we're getting better, we're improving, and we're also getting on coaching licenses. When you start coaching in America, there's A, B, C, D, E, F licenses, there's grassroots licenses. And we make sure that coaches are going on these licenses to improve, because if our coaches aren't getting better, the players aren't getting better. So we actually help fund these licenses for the coaches to go and improve. We also have constant communication with families. My aim, coming in as the director of coaching of this club, is to make sure that every single coach is in constant communication with every family via emails at least once every 2 weeks. If you're part of our competitive program and you're going over 2 weeks without hearing from your coach, let me know, because I want to reach new standards, the highest standards we can possibly reach. There'll be end of season player evaluations after every spring season and every fall season. You'll have a written evaluation, and you can also set up a one-on-one call with your coach. What I do, I have a Google Doc and I send it out to my teams, and I do a 15-minute slot, and I allow parents to go in and put their name in there and jump on a call with me, as well as a written player evaluation. So that'll be something we'll be bringing to the table to make sure that you're up to speed with your players' development. Every player will be in a fun yet competitive environment. I know competitive soccer can sometimes scare away some families, maybe some families that haven't done soccer before, or they've been in rec for 3-4 years and they hear competitive and they get worried. But in reality, they're having just as much fun. They're enjoying it. It's competitive without aggressiveness, without being mean. You're not going to have a coach just yelling at you for 90 minutes, shouting at you, screaming at you. The days of them coaches are gone. There's a new wave of coaches coming in, and US soccer are doing everything they can on these coaching education courses to make sure that coaches are learning how to develop players in the right way. So you might hear competitive, but don't be put off by it. It's a very fun environment, and your players are going to learn an awful lot. And then last but not least, committed to excellence. I've gone through a lot of interviews in the past few weeks, past few months, trying to find the right fit. So the coaches that you see and that I've listed, they're special people. They're the right characters, the right people. They're the ones that are going to be reliable. They're going to show up. They're going to send communication. They care. They're going to teach your players in the right way. They're not going to bully. They're not going to be aggressive. They're not going to make your kids want to stay at home. They're going to make your son or daughter want to come to practice, which is massive. So I want every coach committed to excellence, and I believe we have the right coaching staff here. So what facilities do we use? We have practice fields, Hornet grass, Hornet futsal courts, which, by the way, is a fantastic, unique selling point. I've worked for numerous clubs in England, in Southern California, in Northern California. I'm yet to work at a club that has 3 futsal courts. They are fantastic for development, small-sided, short touches. I'm going to make sure that we implement them as much as we can in the season. We're going to use them as much as we can throughout a 12-month calendar year. So I'm really excited for that. The development of our players is going to grow tremendously. We have Estuary Park, Atlantic, and Alameda Point. And then the beauty of being in the Jack London Youth Soccer League is that our game fields, we have numerous to choose from. We can choose from, there's like 20, 25, 30 different fields. So we're not at a short usage there, which is great. So we have club learning plans in our competitive program, and this is something that I've started to implement, and I've really seen the coaches that we have on board implement these with their team, which is fantastic. So what is a club learning plan? It effectively helps our coaches periodize their whole year, both technical periodization and tactical periodization, to ensure that we develop your players to the best of our abilities. Every single team will have their own tab, and every player within that team can check in on their club learning plan to see what their players are learning, what their son, what their daughters are learning. Whether you're on a U9 team, red team, white team, blue team, whether you're in high school, every team is going to have a club learning plan that their coach fills in. So you can see here in the first column, their session number in the season. Then it's the date, Then it's the moment of the game. In soccer, there's 4 moments: attacking when we have the ball, defending when we do not have the ball, attacking to defending transition, so we just lost it, and then defending to attacking transition, we just won it. So a coach will go in, they'll pick the moment they want to work on. They'll pick the session goal. There's 3 session goals per moment, so there's 12 session goals to choose from. And then there's 50 training topics to choose. So all of our coaches have every recipe to succeed in their session design. And you need to know that every time your son or daughter goes on the practice field, every coach has a session plan. They have a session goal, they have a training topic, and then they have coaching points that they've written in. The coach fills this in the morning of every session, so they are well equipped to ensure that your player, your son, your daughter develops to the best of their abilities. I've worked for numerous clubs where coaches are just turning up and they're winging it and they're getting there and 5 minutes to go and they don't know what they're working on. Not at Alameda, not at this club. Every coach is prepared. And if a coach isn't prepared, that's worrying for me. And then we're going to have to sit down and talk about how we can improve things, because they're not the standards that I expect and they're not the standards we're going to see. Every parent will have access to this, so they should be able to hold coaches accountable and say, hey, coach, you know, what are we working on today? And they should be able to tell you. So as I said, there's 50 training topics. I'm not going to go through all of these, but attacking when we have the ball. If a coach wants to work on attacking, they can break it down into the defensive third. So that's near our goal, the middle third, halfway line, attacking third, near the opponent's goal. They can pick any of these topics. They can build training sessions around them. But we know for a fact they've been given 50 training topics. They have the ability to choose whichever one they feel best to suit the needs of their players and suit the needs of their teams. And then they can improve maybe not aspects that also need working on, but you know, what are we good at? If we're really good at crossing and finishing, let's keep working on that to improve and keep getting better. You can't just work on your weaknesses. You've always got to keep working on your strengths as well. I'll also send this presentation out. It's being recorded. I can send a slide deck to people that that email me and want this information. So don't worry about taking photos or getting a pen and scribbling this down. I can send this to you. These are our defending organization training topics. So when the opponent have it. Attacking to defending. So we've just lost the ball. And then defending to attacking, we've just won the ball. So building from that, one thing I've implemented already and will continue to implement are our club principles. So in our competitive program, whether you're on a U8 team or a U19 team, whether you can barely tie your own shoelaces or whether you can drive, every single player is going to be going off our principles. Now, what are principles? Principles are statements that serve as the foundation for a system of behavior. So if you're on a red team, a white team, a blue team, 2009, 2008, we're all going to be learning the same thing. So when players get placed in different teams, or they go up a team, down a team, whether they guest play for another team, they'll all be learning the same things, which inevitably creates a club style of play. I've worked for numerous clubs in the past where different teams, different clubs are learning different things. It's really hard for players to guest play and move up and down between the programs. By having 9 club principles, coaches can live and breathe this, players can live and breathe this, and we're giving the same coaching to every single player, whether you play in MPL, whether you play in Premier, Gold, Silver, Bronze. We have 3 attacking principles, 3 defending principles, and 3 transition principles. So we have our principles, we have our learning plan. What is our practice structure? A big thing for me is for our coaches to use the 5 elements of a training session. And this is what we work on at our coach education. So all coaches will have to ensure that their practice is organized. What do I mean by organized? They have a clear practice plan. They fill out their learning plan. Do they have the correct equipment? Do they have the right pennies? Do they have the right balls? Do they have the right cones? Now, do they have goals, mini goals? Do they have everything they need to succeed? Is there realism? One thing that I dislike is when there's 20 players in a big line and they pass it to someone, they receive it back and they shoot. Does that look like soccer? I don't know if I watch a game of soccer on TV that looks like it. So is it realistic? Does it look like soccer? Are there two teams? Is there opposition? Is there goals? Is there goalkeepers? Is there one team going that way and one team going that way? Is there repetition? Is there repetitions of the theme of your session? Every session, there's going to be a session theme. If you're working on goal kicks and how to build up from goal kicks, there has to be repetitions of it. There's no point working on, I'm going to work on goal kicks today, but then you see a lot of defending. That doesn't make sense. So there has to be repetitions of your theme of your session to develop the players. The key one for me is it challenging? There has to be the correct balance between boredom and struggle. For example, if you're doing four attackers versus one defender keep away, if the area is too big, the players are going to be bored. If the area is too small, they're going to struggle, they're going to get annoyed, they're not going to grow. So there needs to be the right balance between boredom and struggle. The one thing I learned from the Dutch Football Association, and it was, if your session looks too good, it's probably too easy, and that's bad coaching. So one thing I want to see from my teams and the coaches out there is, it shouldn't be too easy. There needs to be errors. It needs to break down, because every time kids break down and they give the ball away, that's a learning opportunity for players to get better. And once we've got all them four components, so once we've made sure it's organized, it's realistic, there's repetition and there's challenge, then it's, what type of coaching technique do we use to develop the player? Do you freeze the practice to talk to the whole group? Do you pull a player to the side? Do you do a flyby where you're coaching in the flow? Do you wait for the ball to go out, which is a natural stoppage? Let's say it goes out for a corner or a goal kick. Do you then go in and start coaching what needs to be improved? And these coaching techniques are yet again what we go over every 2 weeks. And you'll notice that regardless of what team you're on and whatever coach you have, there will be these 5 elements of a training session. So we've built up throughout the week. We've planned at practice with improved players, or we hope with improved players. And then you get to the weekend. We at Alameda have VO, which records sport automatically, which is a fantastic resource. So what teams can do, they can go in onto a Google sheet and go, right, next weekend, I want to use the VO camera. And what it does, 15, 20 feet in the air, records the game. And then that enables the coaches to view it back and send out potential homework assignments. What I've done with my teams is get players to note down, watch the game back. I want you to see 3 times you maybe gave the ball away that you could have done something different. And then also 3 things that you've done well that you want to keep doing, and timestamp it and then send it to me. And then it also holds them accountable for their own learning, not just in soccer, not just in sport, but in life. Self-reflection and holding yourself accountable for your learning improves development and makes you better, regardless of what it is, whether it's a sport or whether it's a job. So we have these fantastic resources that coaches are going to start implementing throughout next season. And it's just, it raises the standards again. Players can't get away with not trying and not working hard. And it holds coaches accountable as well. It's watching it back. I'm keen. I like to have a game on a Sunday. I get back, I plug it in, I upload it, and I watch it Sunday evening. I can't wait. And I'm there watching it going, oh, I actually thought we were good at that, and we're not quite as good as I thought. So this tool enables us coaches to help players get better as well. So what are our club policies? Yes, we want to win, and winning is great, and winning feels great. But how do you win? You develop players. You don't just develop the top 3 players, the top 4 players. If we've picked you for a certain team, you have the right to play, and you need to play. How do you get better? You play games. So for U8s, 5 versus 5, if you're showing up to practice, you're putting in effort and you're focusing, we'll give you 50% play time in every game. If we're winning, if we're losing, doesn't matter. You'll play 50% of every game. That's our promise to you. U9, U10, 7 versus 7, 40% play time in every game. There's clubs I've been at in England, and kids are there sitting on the bench for 3/4 of the game, 4/5 of the game. That doesn't help them get better. And as you can see, we go up into the 11 versus 11 stage. And even though that's our competition phase and it's U19, if you're showing up and you're committed and you're putting in effort and you're focused, you're going to get 30% playing time because, we don't just want to develop the top 2 players, the top 3 players. We want to develop everyone at Alameda Soccer Club. We care about every single player in our environment. Club policies. Now, in an ideal world, it's rainbows and butterflies and everyone's happy and everyone loves it, but we know that's not always going to be the case. So there is a 24-hour rule. If you have any concerns after a game, let's say you've played on a Sunday morning and the full-time whistle goes and you're really upset. Sometimes after 24 hours and you've slept on it, it's not as bad as you first thought. So give it 24 hours. Try to compose yourself, try to self-reflect the next day. And after 24 hours, if it's still a concern, I recommend going to your coach. The amount of people that have come to me as a technical director or a DOC in the past and with a concern, and I said, have you spoken to your coach first? And they say no. I say, right, well, go to your coach because it can quite easily be resolved. If it can't be resolved by your coach, then go to your technical director. And then if it's still not resolved by your technical director, that's when you can come to me and we can look to set up meetings or a conversation and try and iron out any concerns or flaws that you may have. Because at the end of the day, my main primary focus is that every single player that commits to our program is happy. So our costs, we have 2 types of programs. We have competitive elite and competitive elite pro. What does that entail? So we have professional trainer-led practices 2 times a week, regardless of what program you're in, you're going to have that. There's a 3rd practice day, futsal/SAQ training. So in the money you pay, you'll get at least 3 practices. That also covers Fall League, it covers Spring League, it covers State Cup, it also covers 2 to 3 additional tournaments. It also covers 1 week of team summer camp. There's 1 week in the summer, it will be either 8:30 to 11:30, or it will be 12 to 3. The schedule is on our website. So you get 15 hours there. You get goalkeeper training, team equipment stipend, and all of that is included. The only difference is if you have the competitive elite on game days, so on Saturday and Sundays, you'll have a parent volunteer coach. And if you're on the competitive elite pro, you'll pay slightly more, but you'll have your professional head coach there for the games on the weekend as well. So these are the team forecasts. Now, it all depends on how many players attend tryouts. Sometimes there might not be enough to form a team. There might actually be a situation where we end up forming an extra team. But this is what I plan. You can see on the left the boys here. And if it's a T, that will be a trainer team. So that will be a competitive elite. And then if you see a HC, that will be head coach. And that will be elite pro. So that will be where your coach is with you on the weekend. And I believe from last year to this year, we've, I think, at least doubled the amount of head coach teams there are for weekend, which is great. And my aim is for next year. So when I'm sitting here next year presenting a similar presentation, that every single team will be head coached and will be on the competitive elite pro program. So what is the season overview? So we have our tryout window, and tryouts will run between May 8th and May 23rd. I'm sure you've seen the schedule. It's on our website as well. You can have a look on there. Our team meetings then, if you get offered a spot on our competitive teams, we'll have a team meeting on either May 30th or May 31st. That will be where you meet everyone that's on your team. So it'll be a Zoom meeting, and you'll go through the season and meet everyone, meet and greet, and you'll assign yourself to some volunteer roles such as team manager and team photographer. And it's a really cool experience. It really gets the ball rolling and the start of a new season with all the hope that comes with it. It is great. And then there's team camps. So there's 4 weeks starting July 17th through August 7th. Your team camp will be on one of those weeks. And then the full season, we're going to start at July 10th. And now I know some of you are probably thinking, I've got vacation, I'm away in July and August. That's not a problem at all. That's not a problem at all. We just wanted to start straight after July 4th for the players that are still around. And if you're only around for a week or two in the summer, you get soccer. We can provide soccer for you. So we really want to maximize our full season and maximize the amount of ball contact time you can get. So the full season will run July 10th through November 19th. We're then off for Thanksgiving. Then there's a winter season. And then there's a spring season again from February 26th through May 5th. And then we repeat process through tryouts. Your money and your costs gets you the full season from July, and it gets you the spring season. However, we're now also providing a winter season option for those players who are not at high school. So if you're younger and you're not at high school yet in the high school soccer season, then there's going to be training for those that want it twice a week. And then for games on the weekend, there might be Copa futsal in Walnut Creek. There might be Palladium indoor as well. So it's not a necessity. If you don't want to compete in the winter season, that's completely fine. But for those that want it and they want more of an all year round training, we're now providing that for anyone that wants it. So that's really exciting. I'm super excited for that. So what is the tryout process? So the tryout days are scheduled by birth year. Advanced registration is required. No cost, completely free, but we do need you to register. You can go on our website. Make sure you do that as early as possible, please, just so we can plan around how many players and how many teams we think we're going to form. Players are to attend both days, if possible. If you can only make one, let us know. But the more contact time we have with the players, the better we can assess them and make sure they're in the right fit and the right team. Player commitment is for both fall and spring. We do require you to commit to both seasons. It's not just, I want to pay you for fall and then I'm going to disappear in spring, because then that's where teams disappear. We can't form teams and it's unfair on the players that have committed. So we do ask that you commit for fall and spring. We understand that players are going to be multi-sports. We do understand there's baseball. We do understand there's basketball. But we do expect you to also commit to soccer. So when you do sign up, if there is a conflict in games, mark your availability on Team Snap early. Put a note in your availability. Sorry, I can't make this game. And then we can use guest players from other teams to make sure that we can still fulfill the requirements to play those games. After tryouts, players will be notified of their placement within 5 days of their last tryout. Players will then have 48 hours to accept their offer. And then players will attend their Zoom meeting on either 5:30 or 5:31. So if this is something that you're interested in and you want to sign up for tryouts, you can head to our website, click competitive, hit 23-24 tryouts at the top there, and then get yourself signed up. I think there's about 530, 540 signed up at the moment, which is fantastic. If we can push those numbers to keep providing the best possible service we can, that'll be fantastic. So that, as I said, I tried to be nice and quick for you. 8:31. I just want to say thank you so much for joining. 71 I see at the moment. Hopefully there's questions that have been asked and answered in the chat. As I said, if there's not, I'll happily answer them now. There's my email. Jot that down quickly. Take a photo of that quickly. If you want the slide deck, I can ping that across to you tomorrow. That's no problem at all. Although there's some information such as our learning plans and how many teams we're looking to form. So if you do have any questions and you need that information, shoot me an email at that email address. I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. Then I'll send that across. But what I'll do now is I'll stop sharing my screen and I will answer any questions that may not have been answered in the chat. If you just want to unmute yourself and fire away.
I just put, go ahead.
Go ahead, Peggy. I had the same question as you.
Okay. Yeah, my kid may be too young for this. He's only 7, but he only really wants to play goalie. And I don't know when you start specializing kids and, you know, does it happen when they get to high school at earlier ages? When do you start telling kids they're a particular position versus another?
So that's a really great question. Fantastic question. The thing is, in soccer now, the goalies touch the ball with their feet like 10 times more than with their hands. So when they're 7, 8 years old, we really want to develop them not only as a goalkeeper, but we want to develop them as a field player as well. So I have players on my current U8s that I work with, and they really want to be a goalkeeper, but we get them on the field and we get them playing out on field. And once they start scoring goals, they go, hey, coach, I actually want to be a striker now, because they're so young, they change their mind all the time. However, I've got players that still only want to be a goalkeeper, but that's fine, because they're still going to have to play on field and they're still going to have to develop their footwork, because then our defenders, our midfielders can pass back to the goalkeeper. We can keep possession of the ball. We can dominate the ball, because we're not a team that's just going to kick it and boot it and go, yeah, we're going to cheer a big boot randomly. We're going to look after the ball. So we'll get them on the field. We don't want to specialize too early. However, if they do want to be a goalie and they only want to be in goal, we can give them 50% of every game in goal. That's not a problem. You can be in goal for every first half or every second half, but I'm going to need you to play on the field as well. And honestly, I've had it in the past, and I have it on my U10 girls, so 9 years old. Her mum played college and she's a goalkeeper and she loves it and she only wants to be in goal. Then if I speak with the parents and the parents are happy for them to only be in goal, then we'll allow it. So if you wanted was it a son or a daughter? Sorry.
It's a boy, and he's really little, so I don't also necessarily know he knows what he wants because he's only 7, but it's just very helpful.
Exactly. So if he gets to like 9 years old and he gets a bit older and he still only wants to be goalie, if I was the coach of your team, I'd check in with you and say, do you want him? Is this something you're happy with? And if you say no, I'll say, great, fantastic. He's still so young. Let's get him on the field. So we'll balance it, and it will be a player by player situation.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Okay, there's a question from Brooke. I'll answer it. Okay, go. Sorry.
I was just going to ask where you would get the biscuits for the coach or the team owner.
The biscuits.
It's a Ted Lasso reference.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I went way out of bounds on that one.
I haven't seen the latest series yet, so you can't spoil it for me. Brooke, how competitive are the tryouts? Great question. So what we're going to look to do at tryouts, there's 2 days. The first tryout will be 1 versus 1s, 2 versus 2s, and 4 versus 4s. So everything's going to have opposition. And we're just going to look to see how they dribble, how they pass, how they tackle, how they shoot, how engaged they are. Do they try? Are they putting in effort? So we're just standing back. We're not coaching them. We'll have clipboards. We'll be on the side of each field. But we're not out there giving coaching points and freezing it, and we're just letting the kids be kids, letting them problem solve, and we're evaluating them, reflecting what team should they be on a red team, a white team, can they play gold, can they play this level, or maybe is recreational stuff at the right level for them. But tryouts are fun. We've got the music going, we've got the SAQ, we've got the ladders. It's real fun. They get to play a lot of scrimmages, especially in the second day of tryouts. We put them into games straight away, so they're playing for like an hour and 15 minutes. They're having a lot of fun. They're scoring goals. They're with their friends. So no, it's a really cool environment. It's really laid back. It's stress-free. Like there's zero pressure at all.
Could I ask the question about the summer camp?
Yeah, sure.
Do you know the dates, the location, the time? And I think the main question, if the kid is, like my kid is, he's 7-year-old right now. He is with he is with a current season playing competitive, right? And he will try for the tryout. So does he need to complete the spring season and be eligible for the fall, or how does it work for the summer camp?
Yep. So he's currently in the PDA at the moment, U8. Is that correct?
I have my little one. He's with the competitive. He's 7-year-old, and I have a 10-year-old who is going to try out for this for the fall season.
Yep. So they finish out their spring season, and then they head to tryouts, and then if they get placed on a team, they'll then have their own team. They'll know what team camp it is. So we have our team camp dates and times on the website at the moment. So just take your 7-year-old, for instance. You look at his birth year, I'm guessing he's 2015, maybe not 2016, 2015, cool. So you look at 2015 boys, there's going to be a red team, white team, and a blue team for that. So depending on what team he makes, that will be the week of summer camp. If he can't make his own week, then what we'll do as coaches, we'll look to find another week that does work for him to make sure that he gets his 15 hours of summer camp. So we'll just put him with a similar ability team to make sure that he gets that.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Feel free to unmute yourself.
Yeah, hi, Mark. I had a question that might help out. It'll help me out for sure, and maybe some other people here. I noticed on the email that you sent out, the youngest kids were 2017. So my question is specifically about, my son's only 5. He's 5 and a half. He's super competitive. He's super into soccer. He plays all the time. I'm just not sure if this is the year or if I should wait. What kind of things might I want to kind of think about, or sort of, maybe talk to him about, to see if, are you really ready for this? You're 5, or should we wait until you're a little bit bigger?
Brilliant question. I get that question a lot, and I've worked with the U8s for many, many, many years. And they ask me, should I get him in at 5 or should I wait? And I say, bring him out. Let's see how he is. And then once we get them in, the parent goes, that was the greatest decision we've ever made. So what we're looking for, if they're 5 years old, are they focused and do they try? So he doesn't need to be the greatest player in the world. He doesn't need to be able to strike a ball over 20, 30 yards. As long as he's not disruptive and as long as he wants to be there, because if you're bringing a 5-year-old out that doesn't want to be there and they're just standing still, maybe not be the right year. But if he wants to be there and he's trying hard and he listens and he wants to be there, and that's fine. That's perfect. That's all we're looking for at that age.
Very helpful. Thank you.
You're ever so welcome. Some quick questions coming here on the side. How many players are on a U9 team? So U9 is 7 versus 7. So we look to have between 10 and 12. Usually the red teams, which is our first teams, are more committed. Usually they're soccer first, so they might carry 10. White teams maybe 11 or 12. Blue teams 11 or 12 as well. But it varies. If we have, it depends how many come out to tryouts. If there's 30 kids and we want to offer 30 kids a spot, then it might be 3 rosters of 10. If there's 36, then it might be 3 rosters of 12. So it does depend on how many places we offer positions to. How are the parent coaches determined? So what I like to do, I like to meet my players, and I like to meet the parents, and I like to ask who's invested and who wants to be a parent coach, and then I like to just give each one a phone call. So I've had it in the past where I was kind of new to coaching maybe 10 years ago, and I said, who wants to be a parent coach? And someone said me, and I said, great, you're in, let's do it. And it wasn't actually quite a good fit, and it definitely wasn't the right fit for the players, and the players didn't have a good experience. So what I recommend for all the coaches to do is just to relax a little bit. We have our team meeting, and at the team meeting, it's okay, let me know if you want to be an assistant coach, a parent volunteer coach, and then I like to just have a little conversation with them, maybe get them out to a practice to make sure it's the right fit, because we want to make sure that the players are in the best possible fit to develop, because they can't be anxious, they can't be worried if we get the wrong parent in. So we want to make sure it's the right fit for everyone.
Hi, Mark. I have a question. Especially with the younger players who are just getting into sport, this is a big commitment, a year, near the better part of a year commitment. And a lot of the kids, especially in the springtime, are also wanting to play baseball or softball. So how does the club deal with kids that are playing multiple sports?
Yeah, I mean, that's in order for players to grow and develop, multiple sports is fantastic, right? So we're more than happy to support that. All we ask is that parents let us know in as far and as advanced as possible. So what I tend to do, especially in the spring, when NorCal released a schedule in February, I'll put all the game dates into TeamSnap, and I'll ask all parents to fill out their availability as best as they can, March, April, May. So then we can work around that, because we don't want to say to you, this is soccer, you have to play soccer, you can't do any other sports. So yes, we're more than happy for you to do baseball, we're more than happy for you to play basketball, but we need to make sure that you let the coaches know early, so then we can use players from other teams. If I'm a U10 red team, I might use a white team player that deserves a chance to play. A blue team player, I might use a U9. So as long as the coach knows and can plan and prepare for it, then that's okay.
Can you explain what red, white, and blue? I might have missed that.
Correct. So our red is our first team. So maybe there are technically our better players at that current moment in time. So maybe our more technical players or more physical players. You see at the younger ages, U9, U10, maybe they're the kids that have matured a little bit quicker, grown a little bit quicker. So maybe our red teams will be 1 through 10, and then the white teams will play a level below. So our red teams might play gold or silver. Our white teams might play silver or bronze, and then our blue teams might play bronze or copper. So when we have red, white, and blue, all we're doing is ensuring that we place your son or daughter in the right fit. What we don't want to do is, if your son or daughter should ideally be playing at a bronze or silver level, we don't want to be putting them in a gold level where they lack success. And then we don't also want to be putting maybe a gold player in a bronze team where it's too easy for them and they're having too much success, and they're not getting better that way. So just by having red, white, and blue, it ensures us that we get the right kids in the right fit where they get the perfect balance of success but struggle.
Okay, thank you. And so is it age-based as well, though, when you're putting kids in their teams?
Yes, so if you're born in 2012, for instance, you'll be on a 2012 red team, white team, or a blue team if we have one in that specific gender. So if you have a 2012 boy, he'll be on a red team, white team, or a blue team.
Okay, thank you. I have a 2016 son, so I guess it would be a 2016
So
red, white, or blue, or how does that work?
So for our U8 PDA, so we have 2016s and 2017s. They all practice together due to their age, and they'll play 5 versus 5 play dates with local teams. So they'll be all together. There's no red, white, and blue until you reach U9, because that's the first year of real competitive soccer. When they're born in 2016 or 2017, they're doing 5 versus 5 play dates. So they're all mixed in together because they get better, and they're all pretty much the same ability anyway at that age.
Okay, thank you. That helps a lot.
Perfect. So a question from Anona: what happens if there aren't enough kids to form a red, white, and blue team, and it's mixed levels in the red team? So ideally, there's enough to at least form 2 teams, red and white. If there isn't, and we only have enough for a red team due to the numbers that we have, then we have to place them in the right environment that we think is best for them. So if we have 3 gold players, 3 silver players, 3 bronze players, you look at that and go, okay, I think maybe silver is the right level for them. Coming in as a DOC, having one team in age groups is not ideal. So going forward, the plan, the short-term plan, not even medium or long-term, the short-term plan is to get at least 2 teams in every age group, in every gender, so we don't fall into that trap. I mean, at the moment, we do have teams where there's only red teams, and, you know, the gap between the top 3 and the bottom 3 might be big, but this is something that we're working on behind the scenes and really working on at the younger ages to make sure that this doesn't happen as players get older. So yes, annoyingly, it does happen where we have one team, but going forward, we're doing everything we can, and we're trying to promote ourselves to get players in to the best of our ability to ensure that we at least get 2 teams, to have players playing in the right environment for them to grow, because realistically, we want the gold level players, the premier level players playing in that environment rather than having to play down, and we want the players who maybe need a slower paced tempo to have that instead of having to play up where they don't have success. Question from Mina: for the 2017 boys, can we request friends to be on the same team? So what will happen is, let's say there's 20 or 25 at a practice for those. You're all mixed in, you're all playing together. There's going to be stations, so kids are all playing together. And then for the 5 versus 5 play dates on the weekend, what's going to happen is whoever's going, so you're going to mark your availability on Team Snap, and then Ryan or Dom, who are going to be the coaches of U8s, they're going to put you in teams for that specific game. But depends on who's available for that weekend. Kids are going to be playing with different players each weekend, but they're going to be at the same time. They're going to be, like, for instance, we had a play date for the 2015s and 2016s this weekend that we had at Hornet, and there was 3 fields and 3 games going on at the same time. So you're all going to be effectively playing together anyway. Feel free to unmute and fire away, or if any of the board members want to unmute themselves as well and chime in on anything I may have missed, you're welcome to do so as well. I want to make sure that we've got ourselves covered.
Hey, I would just say I have a 2013 boy, and the idea of competitive, I think, can be, like Mark was saying at the beginning, can be off-putting. There's like a negative connotation that comes with that sometimes. And, you know, my kid's under no illusions that he's the next Messi, but he plays on a competitive team, and he's learning the game, and he's having fun, and he's running around. And that's what it's about. It's not, we're not trying to make every kid be the next Christian Pulisic. So it is really tempered with structure and purpose, but also the fun is a huge part of that. So I hope that that came through in Mark's presentation, because it really is that.
Thank you, Bjorn. Just responding to Monica. So yeah, if you're in one of them funny age teams where half of them are at high school and half are not, then for the players that are not, they can still get together and enter themselves into a Copa League in Walnut Creek. They can do futsal. They can enter themselves into a Palladium League if they want as well. So no, we encourage players that are in them kind of funny years where there's a few of them who aren't at high school playing for high school soccer to continue playing together in a Palladium League or Copa as well, depending on how many are available. So no, we can definitely help with that. We don't want to say, right, you got unlucky, so you're not going to play. We want to find the right place. And
thank you for that. Related to that, so when she's a senior, all her teammates will have graduated. So how does that work for her? Again, because she's such a young, she's one of the youngs of her age, of her year.
Yep. So when you get to U17, The next age group is U19. So it's at the moment, the U19s are 04s and 05s. So what happens is the older 05s that graduate, they go to college. The younger 05s, they then join the 05 and 06 team. And then same again, the older 06s graduate, the younger 06s stay down, and then they play 06, 07. So it mixes in. So there's always a place for them to play, even when the majority of their team graduate and go to college.
Okay, thank you very much.
A question from Jennifer. What are the advantages of going competitive versus rec? What is the ideal age to join comp? I always say, if your son or daughter are invested in soccer and they like it, get them out. Get them out as soon as you can. What are the differences? They have 2 practices a week with a professionally trained coach. They have tournaments, they have more game time, they have more contact time over the summer. They basically get more ball contact time. They get more hours on the field, more practices, more games, more tournaments. It's just so much more soccer. And if your player loves it, I recommend getting them in. In our U8 program, we open it up to 2017s because there are so many 2017s that love it. You might think it's young, but they're out there, they're dribbling it, they're kicking the ball around, they've got a smile on their face. We call it competitive soccer, but it's so fun. It's not scary. It sounds scary, but it's really not. I mean, if you have someone that's loving soccer and they want to be there, as long as they want to be there and they love it, just get them into comp soccer. Get them in. It's the right place for them, in my opinion. Let's see.
Hey,
Is it
Mark.
best to?
Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the biscuit guy again.
Hey, John.
Yeah, no, I was just I think, my daughter went through this, and I think one of the toughest things with the young kids is when are they trying out for competitive, and if they get cut, like, and how you deal with that emotional response. And I think it's difficult from a parent standpoint, when do you throw them into that type of arena, because there is a possibility that they're not going to make the team, and then how do they react to that, right? And you want to keep them interested in soccer, right? But sometimes that dashes their dream, or you know what I'm saying. So I think it's one of those, as a parent, I had it was a difficult decision for my wife and I to decide when to move into the competitive arena, and we weighed all those things. And my daughter, when she did it, she was an alternate, but she didn't try out as well as she, but like her true self didn't show out on the field because she wasn't used to that type of situation. And she was able to make it, and she played and so on and so forth. But I don't know, for the younger parents, it's just, you have to know your own kid and how they're gonna, how they're gonna deal with being cut if they get cut, and keep them interested in the sport at the same time. So
Yeah, that's a great point. But also, we try, especially at the younger ages, 7 aside, 5 aside, as long as your kid wants to be there, we really try and get them in, because we want to make sure we can find a home for everyone. Obviously, there are situations and circumstances where we can't, but we really do try our best to find a home for those that try and want to be there. If you have a son or daughter that comes out and they're standing there and they're not trying and they're not running and they're not working hard and they're just looking at the clouds, maybe comp soccer's not for you. But if they're working hard and they really want to be there, and they're showing a sign of, yeah, we can work with this, then there's a big chance that they will get selected for a team. I'm seeing a comment from Monica there. My daughter started in rec, but comp changed her life. She learned so much. That's great. That's a big statement, right? It's not as scary as it sounds, and it's great to get that kind of feedback from parents who have got people in the comp program, because that's what we want. We don't want to be this scary program that keeps people away. We want to invite as many people out to our comp program as possible.
Mark, just from a programming side, this is George again. Would, you know, for the tryout thing and the teams are the white, red, and I forget the other color. Is there a way to maybe unite the parents who don't make the cut so they could maybe form a competitive or a rec team to keep their kids interested in it, and they don't have to kind of necessarily, you know, I'm just thinking out loud right now, you know, and then they can form a rec team and, you know, foster those skills that it takes to get to the next level.
Yeah, for sure. We actually have more players playing in the rep program than the comp. So when a situation comes where we might not necessarily have a fit for the son or daughter in the comp program, we do send next steps in an email stating there is a rec program for you. Sign up here, show interest here, fill out this form, and we will look to put you on a rec team to make sure that you keep playing soccer. So yeah, it's not the end of the world if you don't make a competitive team. It's not the end of the world at all. We still want to make sure we provide a place for you to continue playing soccer, whether that be in recreational. So yeah, we have plans in place to make sure that there is a home for everyone, whether it is comp or rec.
And George, that's a great question. What we've done in the past, and just to elaborate on what Mark's saying, is we've communicated with those parents and the player to introduce them to the rec side, but also keep them together so they're playing together and trying to develop them at a higher level and develop the rec players and rec teams. That way, future years, they might want to come back and try out again, you know, give it another year, give it a year of development and player experience. So
yeah, I think at this point, it's just important to develop players, and you guys are saying all the right things. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, player development is number one priority. If a coach is caring more about winning than developing players, especially at younger ages, and doesn't play a player, then that's completely unacceptable. And I'm not sitting here lying to you. That is despicable if they're not playing. So player development is number one for us at Alameda, that's for sure. Mary question, sorry, during late, I saw emails about comp team camps. How do you know whether to sign up? So team camps are free. They're included in your cost. So once you join your team, depending on what team you're on, you'll have your meeting on Zoom in May. You'll know what your team camp week is, so you'll attend that one. And then if you can't, let your coach know and let him know what week you might be able to attend, and he'll look to work with other coaches to get your son or daughter in another week to make sure that you do get those 15 hours. Can the parents choose the positions? If you're talking about positions of players, then nope, that will be the coach. At the younger ages, we look to vary positions for players to give them exposure in different positions. So, you know, if you're 7 versus 7, U9, U10, there's a big chance you'll be playing in different positions. You might play attack, defense, midfield, learn them. When you start getting to 9 versus 9, 11 versus 11, that's when positions start to get a little bit more nailed down, a little bit more position specific as they get a little bit older and games start to become a little bit more competitive. Will a link to this recording be sent out? Yeah, I'm currently recording this. I hope it's still recording. Yeah, it is. So I will, I'll send this out. Or Bjorn will send it out in the newsletter, even better. Chris, will there be at least one female professional coach? I am desperately looking for female coaches. It is one of my main priorities. I've had 3 different female coaches reach out to me. I've been begging them to come and do a trial session. They said, yep, I'll come and put a trial session on. And then none of them have showed up. And then I've chased them up and they've ignored me. So every club in probably the entire country in youth soccer is desperate for female coaches. So if anyone knows of any female coach, I would love to speak to them and I'd love to give them a chance because they're in massive need. So yes, the aim is to get female staff on the slate. We're just struggling to find them at the current moment in time. Okay, I will, seems to have gone a bit quiet. I will stay on here for another 5 minutes for those that want to stay on and ask questions if one comes to mind. But apart from that, if you're happy and you've got everything you need, I just want to say thank you once again for giving up your Tuesday evening. I hope that you've learned something and maybe it's changed your mind and you're really interested. And you know, if there is anything else that comes to mind, feel free to reach out. Please reach out to me. You've got my email address. Drop me a question. More than happy to even jump on a call. So if you email me and say, hey, Coach Mark, you know, do you have 5 minutes? More than happy to speak on the phone as well. So I'll stay on here for another 5-10 minutes. For those that want to jump off, feel free. And thank you again for a fantastic evening. And I wish you the best. Wish you the best rest of the week. Take care.
You gonna stop the recording now or keep it going?
Oh yeah, good point.